Hi everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to this July 18 virtual meetup. I hope all of you are doing well today, and welcome to our DevOps meetup in India. So we have a lot of folks signing up, and as we speak, I see the attendees list popping up. So let me do a short welcome and introduction while we will welcome everyone on board of our platform. This is our first meetup, also at this size, that we're running in a virtual format. And we are very excited that so many of you are actually joining us. I'm Dimitri van den Broek. I'm one of the founders and managing director of DASA, and we will have a very exciting afternoon ahead. I'm convinced we're going to create value. We have very specific updates. We're going to talk about DASA and what is happening around the world, provide you some product updates, but perhaps even more important, how it can benefit you moving forward in your career. But as important, we're going to look at specific trends, industry trends, and key trends that we believe that you need to be aware of. And we'll also be revealing some of the topics and themes that we're also covering in our training programs. Third item is we really are here to engage and invite you to participate in some of our global forums and some of our local forums. So we have our Enterprise Leadership Forum presented today, and during this session, towards the end, we will give out a specific invitation to get you involved in all the work that we're doing at DASA. But of course, it's all about learning, it's about knowledge sharing. That's what's in our DNA, and we're very happy to have you here today. I'm extremely excited, so let me move to the next slide. I'm extremely excited and proud with today's lineup. I mean, we have two extremely cool case studies from Hari Sukumaran, lean product development coach from ABB. We have Deb Tripathi, managing director from Accenture, sharing his vision and knowledge with all of us. And we have from Europe, Rick Fahrenhorst. Rick is the chairman of our Enterprise Leadership Forum. He's the CIO, leaving CIO of a European airliner, and he is the key designer of the DASA competence model and principle. So it's fantastic to have him on board, and he will have a specific invitation for you as well. And of course, welcome to our core team, Rajat Tiwari, our master and go-to person when it comes to organizational cultural transformation, co-founder and CEO of Transcend, and one of the DevOps coach trainers. Nivarti Jayaram, author of Unlearning, also a DASA ambassador, vice president of Societe Generale, and of course a key DevOps coach as a part of this thing. And I also mentioned it, also DASA ambassador. Anand Krishnan, chief consultant, leadership coach, one of the two master coaches in the world for the DASA DevOps coach program. And of course, he's also a co-author of that program. And Akhilesh Chaturvedi, DASA ambassador, CEO of Yayati, leadership coach, lead author for our DevOps coach program, which is now, and we will tell you more about it, being adopted in all places and regions around the world. So before I'm going to head over to Anand, who will introduce you to today's agenda, I would like to invite you to, if you have any questions, to use the question panel. You find it in the GoToWebinar panel. During the sessions, each one of us will monitor and bring your session to the presenter. If there are too many sessions or we are a little bit too late, we'll park it and do it at the end of the session. But we really encourage as much interactions as possible. So, Anand, welcome, and can you take us through the agenda, please?
Thank you very much, Dimitri. A very warm welcome to all of you who are participating in this. A very good afternoon. I'm just going to quickly walk you through the agenda. So we do start with a little bit of an update on what DASA is and where DASA has come in from a historical perspective and where they are headed. So you have a better appreciation for what this organization is and how this can be of use to you. Rick, in fact, will present some of the macro global DevOps trends that he sees from a market perspective. And then I spend a little time in terms of talking through the evolution of digital itself. If you look at it from the start of the millennium to where we are today, it just gives us a little bit of a perspective in terms of the focus and the complexity that's been emerging out of that. And then Dimitri, Nivarti, in fact, comes up with a conversation around what does it mean to really get into business-driven DevOps. It's all about delivering business value, and what does it really mean to have KPIs which are more aligned to that, and how do you embark on that such a journey? Now, as you embark on this journey, it is pretty evident that it does require an underpinning of culture and mindsets that needs to be changed within the organizations. And who better than Rajat, who's really our culture expert, who's really been taking many organizations through cultural transformation. So he will take us through the journey of what it means and how do you incorporate some of the DevOps culture. And as you look at all of these components, another key component that sort of binds all of this together is what we call the value stream architecture. You kind of look at what is required really overall from an organizational business agility perspective, enterprise architecture perspective, the process perspective. How do you bring all of this together on a common platform, which is what we call the value stream architecture? And Akhil, in fact, will spend a good amount of time taking us through that framework and how do you approach that. And then we're going to take a quick break, a 15-minute break for all of you to probably stretch yourself and get a cup of coffee or so. And thereafter, like Dimitri said, we have really two powerful case studies. One is from a client perspective. So Deb is really going to drive that conversation in terms of how, as a strategic partner of a client, they've taken the client through the DevOps transformation journey. What are the steps? What were the business case? How did they accomplish it? And a fair amount of detail that gets you a sense of realistic view of it. Followed by Hari, who comes as an internal perspective. So he is part of the organization. He's been part of what it takes for an organization to take themselves through an agile, lean, and DevOps transformation. So really sort of two different perspectives, an external and an internal perspective of what it means to take them through. And then we come back to Dimitri and Rick to really bring all of this together in terms of how does this connect with what DASA has in terms of the plans, in terms of the competency framework that we have, in terms of the core principles and frameworks, and some of the certifications that we have put together. So we really hope this is exciting and this is relevant for you. And we'll be really happy to provide more information as we see from your questions and even follow through after that. So over to you, Dimitri.
Thank you so much, Anand, and I'm looking forward to this afternoon. So let me try to open a poll here because we would like to get a bit more understanding of our audience today. We have so many folks around, so we would like to understand a little bit. Are you a DevOps engineer? Are you a manager? Would you consider yourself an agile guru? Are you a coach? Or are you more of a consultant? I mean, that many of those roles are being combined, but can you please select? And we're getting a lot of answers in, so we're now at 79%, so I'll give you 5 to 10 seconds to close the poll. Thank you so much. So I'm going to close it now and see if we can get the poll back. Let me see 1 second, guys. So yes, so here we go. So 28% folks, manager, 32%, and that's more than I expected as a coach. 31% consultant, and of course 8% would primarily consider themselves a agile guru. So let's switch back to my presentation. I'm sorry, so let me share 1 second. Don't know what's happening here. Coco, can you also step in, please? I think I'm seeing a blank screen. Don't know what you guys are seeing, so let me go 1 second. I am back again, so fantastic. So, some welcome DevOps trends, and let's start with that. It's good to be back on the ground because we, as DASA, we have a long history, not only with the key folks who are in today's call, but with many of you on the ground, and many of you will also join us and sign up for this webinar. And let's say we are in unusual times, but it's good to be back in this virtual format as well. So we have a lot going for us. There are a lot of developments, and in today's session, while not be physically together, we will share, this in a virtual way. And I've been asked to do an update, like what's happening around the world, and I would like to give you some insights in how we measure ourselves. And so if you look at DASA and the kind of ambition and metrics we have for ourselves are basically around these 4 topics. It's about our progress on products and certifications, our progress on developing our community, our progress towards global adoption of our certifications and services, and our progress on our thought leadership in the DevOps and Agile domain. And regarding progress on products, we will cover in the final session. So we have some very exciting things to reveal, to uncover, and to share with you. And on the community, there's a lot happening. So we are growing it. We are growing our ambassador community, which we were basically the first ones in the world introducing such a model. But we also introduced a very active influencer community, talking about DASA, talking about our services, talking about the value for individuals and organizations, and they're very active. We're growing a coaching network, so every participant in our coaching program gets together on our platform, which is recently launched, to share more about this upcoming role and do's and don'ts and tips and tricks and how to become more successful there. And we reached the 20,000 followers on LinkedIn, which is a huge milestone for us because more people want to get connected and share information with us. We launched a very active enterprise leadership forum, and today we're going to explain more about this. But also today is actually an example of our community. I mean, getting together with so many of us today is also a sign that we are on the right track, even in this remote world. I am hard to hear. Is that correct? Can you hear me loud and clear, or can I get some feedback? I think Sudhir Chala tells me I'm a little bit hard to hear. If that's the case, please let me know.
We are able to hear you clearly, Dimitri.
It's better now. Thanks, Sudhir. First
Yes,
of all, thanks for the input, and also thanks for letting me know that's better now. So I appreciate that. So on our thought leadership, this is crucial because DASA wants to be more than just a certification body, certifying individuals, sending them to a course and get a certificate. We want to do more than that. So we started in 2016 with a very strong strategy, developing a competence model, principles, and related services to help organizations go through these transformations. So we are extremely keen to have experts around the world writing about our models, writing about our concepts, and how this advances organizations on various topics. So the guy on the left from Norway, he wrote a white paper on using the DASA competence model in large outsourcing projects, where DevOps outsourcing is being done to the Wipros and the TCSs of this world. and using the competence model approach to design the best possible DevOps contracts. Very, very applicable in this world, and much more than just taking a certification in DASA fundamentals. So our body of knowledge is being used and recognized around the world, and we will explain much more about it also during today's session and seminar. Adoption is also critical. So this is the third theme before I hand over to Rick. So adoption of a product, without adoption, it doesn't make sense to have certifications of products and a global community. So it's extremely important for us to see the DevOps Coach, our newest leadership program, being adopted around the world. Seeing Akhil, Anand, but also Nivati and Rajat presenting also their knowledge and training other trainers around the world to train this program to their customers. And it's probably one of the most exciting things I've seen happening in the last 4 years. And the ambition and enthusiasm is contagious, actually. So that's a very interesting one for all of us to be aware of. And the timing is right. For those of you who are looking for career advice, we will share a bit more about this. Was presented the day before yesterday on our US call, where organizations are recruiting for DevOps coaches and they're paying big amounts of money for folks who are ready to step in this role. And if you look at those roles carefully and what we do in those programs, it's a one-on-one match, what organizations require today. So that's a little bit of update and a sneak preview. At the end of this session, Rick and I will talk about new product initiatives. Everything which is red here in our certification scheme is being touched and being worked on and refreshed. So we have some exciting messages. But before we get there, Rick, welcome to today's show. Pleasure having you here. And we've asked Rick to share some critical and interesting trends with all of us. Rick, please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and great to share some insights with you today. Also very nice to see the high turnout for this event. Nice that we can do this all digitally nowadays. I think many of you work in organizations that have seen their digital transformations only being accelerated over the past few months, forced by this corona epidemic. So it's actually more important than ever to focus on digital transformations, to keep your organization in the forefront, to survive, to stay competitive, etc. But it's easier said than done. As many important research firms and strategy consulting firms have pointed out, many digital transformations still fail. Here you see a few scores to underscore this point. The main reasons for failure is not so much that it's in the technology or in the software architecture or in the way the continuous delivery pipelines have been implemented. Of course, all those elements should work, and if you in an organization are lagging behind on these things, you can greatly accelerate if you do that properly. But the real focus on transformations should be more on change management, people development, and the appropriate set of leadership, which you can see as the key reasons for failure. If the management or the senior leadership team is not really truly embracing the key principles that DASA also promotes, then the real change will lag. Of course, many people by nature don't like change. So how to deal with resistance to change and how to inspire people and take them with you on your journey. You should also, as an organization, understand that budget should be there to also transform and invest in new stuff before you can get rid of old stuff. So some of the costs will come before of the benefits. So these are key things that typically fail in organizations who want to have a quick and dirty solution, I would say. And what we see here is that in the companies that do succeed, they focus much more in how in people development, in putting autonomy lower in organization. So concluding this, and that's also what's in this slide here in the bottom right. I strongly advise organizations to spend sufficient time on their organizational structure and culture, and the combination between the two and how they align the leadership, and also the whole point of putting autonomy as low as possible in the organization, and decide who makes which decisions and under which conditions. And what the great stuff about this is that we in the DASA ecosystem try to accommodate and stimulate this by enriching our portfolio that started 4 years ago with a fundamentals training to basically inspire people, tell about the key principles and the competency framework. We now have several leadership courses, some of them in development, to focus on this. And I would say that one of the biggest trends we'll see on the next slide in a minute is really, and here we are, it is really supported by key roles in the organization, such as product owners, coaches, and also not to forget the leadership itself. So if I summarize, because Dimitri asked me what are the key trends you see in the DevOps world, I would say it confirms this increased importance on culture, behavior, and leadership. I see many organizations, also the ones I was allowed to lead teams, focus on automation and modern architectures and all kinds of technology advancements. I would argue that many organizations have in some capacity adopted now those key principles and have gained benefits from that. Now the harder part starts, which is focusing on lasting change, culture, and organizational structure that belongs to it. The 3 key points I would like to share with you today is that I see a trend towards, first of all, a more facilitative leadership style and culture that needs to be in place to promote the necessary change in your organization. Many leadership teams are thinking of coaching, training programs, and understand that they themselves play a critical role in this transformation. I think 5 years ago, many agile transformations, for example, started with the IT company. Some local leaders or some teams got the idea on a local level, accelerated quite a few nice things, but then got stuck because of the senior leadership team didn't really change and did not really promote this new way of working. So now it's getting more and more a bottleneck. So investing in modern leadership and finding out what that means also in terms of your own behavior, that's very important. And since we have so many managers in this call today, it's great that you have taken the time to be in this webinar. Secondly, I've seen that happening more and more. Also, a few weeks ago, I was in a webinar about talent development and online learning, especially in COVID-19 times. I think it's important to find out what are scalable, sustainable ways to do this. It's about talent management. I would always argue it's about getting the right people on the bus, which doesn't mean that you only have to hire a great software engineers who can build all kinds of technology advancements. It's also about taking the lesser hotshots in your organization, the people who have worked for 20, 30 years in a company with all the important domain knowledge, take them with you on your journey, and what to do and how to instill some required new knowledge and skills with those people, how to do that, while of course still acknowledging the past skills they bring with them. I've seen this work and to really create a winning company culture, basically. Thirdly, I've seen many transformations fail or get into trouble because of a lack of understanding around change management and also how to do the transformation right. You have all kinds of extremes. On the one extreme, you have this grassroots approach that just starts somewhere, hits the ground running, and then has a difficulty to scale. The other side of the spectrum, I see organizations building big upfront designs, huge transformation programs, but often they have the difficulty later on because they see the agile or DevOps transformation as a program, and they fail to acknowledge that it's a continuous journey. If you do it right, it actually is never completed. But what is important is that you take into account a lot of the stakeholder management, storytelling, and important aspects that let's say experts from change management literature already advocate for years. Well, if you take these 3 things and add them to to the stuff that is happening already in the last 5 years in many organizations, I'm sure that we will see maturation and professionalization of many of the transformations going on. So I summarize it in the right part. I think many organizations have made their first steps. They started investing in multidisciplinary product teams. They built automation facilities. But I think they should broaden their scope now, because otherwise, sooner or later, this will become a bottleneck in your journey. Yep. Some sources I've listed here because you see this highlighted in the trend reports as well. And again, this also promotes and links nicely to the key products we have in our portfolio as DASA, because we do this for the community, and we basically try to align our knowledge to what the companies and experts in the field need. So it nicely aligns to that.
Fantastic.
Then to continue on this in the next slide, we try to map this on a high level to the DASA competency framework and the key principles. You see them at the right side. What is important to understand is that while we still advocate that everybody in an organization should have, let's say, basic proficiency in the DevOps knowledge and skills and key principles. It's about our fundamentals course, for example, and we have now various tracks, career paths, to focus on specific knowledge areas. You see that the key products on the leadership level, the DevOps product owner, the DASA DevOps coach, and the DASA DevOps leader focus mostly on also the skill areas and promoting the skills of themselves, leaders and coaches, but definitely take with them a lot of others and build this into the system. Because if you have more people in the organization to not only understand the key principles, but also live them, live the core values and promote them, you will have a huge acceleration of your transformation, basically. So this is becoming an increasingly important thing. If you map it to the principles, you can, of course, have a link to every of the principles, but the most important ones are, I would say, the end-to-end responsibility one, the cross-functional autonomous teams, and the continuous improvement one. First of all, the first two are mostly related to putting autonomy lower in the organization and make sure that you rely and trust more the experts in the company. It's important to let go as a leader or a manager your decision-making power and the assumption that you are the boss and that you know better. But it comes with responsibility, and you need to be clear in the organization what is the level of autonomy and the freedom teams and individuals have. And this is something that coaches and leaders and product owners should advocate. Last but not least, the transformation, I would say, is never successful if you do not, as a prerequisite, build some level of continuous improvement mindset in your organization, because only then you can start small and experiment and learn along the way. Because I've seen it fail often to spend too much time in designing the transformation up front, already lagging behind then in terms of time to market. You should start small, start somewhere and learn along the way and continuously adapt. And this is easier said than done, but in talking about values, key principles, and especially the DASA skills, this is greatly
excellent. Excellent. Thanks, Rick. And we'll see you later at the end. So where we
definitely.
also put it in another perspective. And